This play wins 85% of the time in the NHL, and I'm going to show you how to find it in this video. Now make sure you stick to the end so I can show you what websites you need to implement the strategy that I'm going to teach you. Now this strategy wins 85% of the time in the NHL, and it's hidden in plain view, but most sports bettors, they overlook it and they don't even know that this play exists. So what it is, first off, what type of play is this? It's going to be an NHL player prop, alternate points, okay? Alternate points by a player. So what does that mean? That means that they have to get an assist or a goal, okay? So an alternate point means they got to get an assist or a goal, and we're looking at the over 0.5. So it means they just got to get one, all right? They get one, whether it be an assist or a goal, you end up winning that play. Now let's go ahead and get to the first thing that you're going to look for. First thing you're going to look for here is the top 5 teams in PIM, which is penalty minutes, all right? Penalty minutes. Now once you find the top 5 teams that are labeled in penalty minutes, so this means that they literally play with a man down a good portion of the time, you're going to flip that, okay, to the opposing team of who they're playing. And what you're going to do is you're going to write down their power play line number 1, okay? That means that this is when they put in their best scores. Their best scores are going to be on the power play line number 1. So right now what we have written down pretty much is going to be the power play lines of the teams that are going against the top 5 teams in penalty minutes. Now once you have those written down, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to look at the 1 and 2 top scores on each of those teams. Alright, so that either the number 1 or number 2 score in points, overall points, not just goals, and overall points on that power play line. Now those that aren't familiar with hockey and how this actually works and what you're looking at here, because it might sound like gibberish if you don't understand what it is that you're looking at. So penalty minutes is when a team commits a foul, all right, and then they take one guy out, the other team goes on a power play. So there's a man down. It's 5 versus 4, all right? So what happens there is they put their power play line in, which is their best shot at scoring a goal. They put their top scorers in. So that's why I said you need your number 1, number 2 scorer on that power play line. That's who you want to write down. Now once you've done that, your next step is going to make sure that the team that you have written down with those players, this is how you're going to kind of filter through, is you need to make sure that that team is in the top 10 in power play percentage, okay? That pretty much means conversion. The conversion means they're offensively on the power play, their conversion rate is very high, which means when they go on a power play, most likely they have a good shot at scoring a goal. And if they score a goal on their power play line, either their 1 or 2 guy is going to end up with an assist or a goal. So it kind of all gels together. Now once we've mixed all this together, it should narrow it down to be honest with you, you should probably have 1 or 2 players on any given day where you're going to end up taking this prop for the alternate points over 0.5, which is 1 point. They score 1 point. Another thing I want to show you guys is this. You'll see on some of the sports books, it'll say 1 plus. 1 plus is the same thing as over 0.5. Okay, people think 1 plus means you got to score 2. No, 1 plus means if you score 1, you end up winning. Because some sports books like DraftKings, they label it like that. So just make sure you understand that. It's the same bet, okay? This right here is the same thing, whether it's over 0.5 or 1 plus. If you guys want to fast forward through all this and you just want the picks sent to you every single day that fit this criteria that I'm teaching you, make sure you guys click the link in the description. Now once you've narrowed down to your couple players that you have, now we're going to get to step 5 here. Step 5, which is going to be the last step, which is the implied probability versus the true probability of that happening. Don't be scared of the higher odds here because, like I said, this play wins 85% of the time, so you have room to work. So let's say, for example, a minus 400. Minus 400 has an 80% implied probability, all right? So an 80% implied probability there. Now, players that you'll see probably with a line like this is going to be like McDavid or McKinnon. These are the players that you're going to see probably with a line like this to be able to score a point. Why? Because if any points end up being scored by that team, any goals, usually they have something to do with it on that team. So, like I said, a minus 400, 80% implied probability here. Now, why not to be scared of this number? Because now, if we do our true probability math here, and we go and look how did, let's say for example, McDavid or McKinnon, how they did against the team that they're facing, and similar defenses, okay? Similar defenses means if they're going against a team that's top 5 in penalty minutes, Well, you need to look at their stats going against teams that are top 5 in penalty minutes to get the similar results of exactly what it is that they have done against those type of teams. That's what gives you the true percentage of what's going to happen, the likelihood of what is actually going to happen in that game, because it's already happened in similar scenarios. So again, you're going to look for players like this, obviously, like I said, not just because I'm labeling them, they're just examples, but players like this against that similar defense, okay? The similar defense and how they have done in that scenario, okay? Because that's what you're doing. You're pretty much simulating what they would do in the same exact scenario that they're going to be put in on that night. Now, let's say, for example, this is real numbers, by the way. Let's say McDavid, for example, is his true percentage going against that certain type of defense, similar defense, is 87%, okay? If he's 87%, his line is at this. We have a plus 7% edge here, okay? So what does that mean? A lot of people would be scared of this number right here, right? They wouldn't bet this number. They wouldn't want to do it. But you have to understand, if you have a 7% edge here, what that means is if you were to play this play time and time again, and it just keeps hitting at 87% rate, okay? If you were able to find this play throughout the whole entire season and it was hitting at an 87% rate, you would make profit even at this number. Even at that number, you'd still make profit because you have a 7% edge, all right? It's similar to an example that I like to use here. So similar thing would be, let's say, we have 10 cups that are on the board, all right? If 8 of them have balls in them, but then the guy says to you, you know what? I'm going to give you the same odds for 8 of them. I'm going to add one more in the cup, and we're going to give you a 90% chance, but with 80% odds. What happens there over the long term? You're going to beat that game. Why are you going to beat that game? Because you have one up on the odds that he's offering at that stake. All right, so similar to here, we're close enough. 87% would be almost 90%. So the same thing applies here. You play this time and time again in this scenario, that is where you profit. People get it. The mistake that people get here is they think, all right, I see this number right here, and I'm just going to keep hammering that number all the time. No matter what the matchup is, no matter what it is, I'm just going to keep hammering this play over and over and over. That's not how you win, because that will give you most likely under this number, and that will give you a negative edge. Okay, that gives you a negative edge. You have to find the right scenario to bet a number like this. You can't just continuously bet that number just randomly over and over and over. That's where you're looking at the implied probability, but not the true probability. True probability is where you find that matchup that actually works and gives you that actual edge, and that's where you actually profit long term. Now let's talk about the websites that you could use. All right, so websites that you could use for this type of information. First off, for the player props, for the true edge, when you're looking for the true probability, you could use StatMuse, okay? You use StatMuse, you go on there, put the prompt in, just to see. You literally just need to look at the player's statistics. That's all you need to do. So once you do that, then you can manually look up exactly how they did against similar defenses and then literally mark that down, okay? That's what you could do. So use StatMuse for that. And then for team percentages, the easiest way to look at this is going to be if you go to Google and you put in ESPN NHL team stats. All right, if you go to literally Google, that's all you got to do. Go to Google and put in NHL team stats under ESPN, and you're able to filter. Now, they're going to give you options for players. You don't want to look at the players. You want to look at the team stats. This is where you can filter on the top of the page, power play percentage, penalty minutes, all that good stuff. You can literally filter through all of that to get your answer for what teams are top 5, what teams are top 10 in certain areas. All right, so that is where you will use the resources to be able to find this type of play that, like I said, hits 85% of the time.